Peace. So this will look like a live stream, but is actually private. So I wanted to be able to talk about these topics without having a time restraint. And no, this is not real. No, this is not real. I just felt a little bit alternative today. So although my big upper lip is squeezed a little bit, I like the look. Anyway, this is going to be addressing the depression and anxiety questions. You'll only see one suggestion on the actual video, but I also personally messaged a couple of friends and I got some questions from them as well. I didn't rehearse any of this, so we'll just see how I decide to approach these. So as a background to anyone who might be coming across this who is not familiar with me, I have been diagnosed with clinical depression and I've self-diagnosed with social anxiety. And I'm currently taking medication for depression and speaking with my doctor in other routes and alternatives, sort of against my will, but I feel like there's a certain point to where you can't handle certain things by yourself, and there's nothing wrong with seeking help or alternatives. It doesn't necessarily have to be medication, but it definitely has to be addressed for your health and your well-being, whether that be physical health or mental health, because they all tie into each other. Okay, feelings of obligation towards future events, pressure of socializing or interacting with people, and pushing yourself versus, I put OD, but I think they said versus overdoing it. Really, I learned in this life that nothing can be accomplished without other people. That's just the truth of the matter. Now, there's going to be a lot of events that you might not be comfortable with, of course, depending on your anxiety. Everything might be uncomfortable, or it could just be social things or what have you. There's certain things you suck up, like family events or job interviews, because it's a part of life. Now, how I figure which things to be a part of and how I handle it depends on how important it is to me and depends on its effect on my mental health. Now, there's certain things you do that are uncomfortable that in the end are beneficial for you, like learning how to cope with interviews, learning how to manage yourself in a workplace, or dealing with phone calls and things like that. These are things that we need in our adult life to make a way for ourselves. Now, if you being around your family is more than nervousness, if at the end of the day you feel bad about yourself because they're triggering you in a way, like pointing out your awkwardness or saying why are you like this or why are you like that, then I would limit interacting with them, because you want to be able to push yourself to formulate good bonds with people, to get stronger relationships with folks, but you don't want the folks that you're trying to get a strong relationship to make you feel like less than a person, because that is counterproductive to your recovery and to your livelihood. So in essence, there's things that I either push myself to do or learn or am learning how to do because I know it would be beneficial for me. And there's things I avoid, such as back in the day, I would have my cousin go and do my grocery shopping because I just didn't want to be outside. I didn't want to deal with being outside. I didn't want to deal with people staring at me. I didn't know how I'd, deal with being in the line. Is somebody going to try to talk to me? What am I going to say? Or even in the post office where you have those awkward conversations, and they're still awkward because for some reason my aura, people come up to me and tell me their deepest darkest secrets, so I'm still completely freaked out and it's completely awkward. And yes, there were plays in my head for a couple of days afterwards, but I'll be like, at least you talk to them, people trust you. That was weird, but it was interesting. Reaffirm for yourself that you're making progress in some way. So yeah, there's some days where I'm like, no, I'm not going grocery shopping today. Can't deal with that. But I am dealing with my own grocery shopping. I'm still doing my own grocery shopping rather than, not pushing it on somebody else like I used to. I guess I already addressed about the pressure of socializing and interacting. Whether you have anxiety of any sort or not, or depression of any variety, you are not obligated to interact and socialize with anyone, even your family, even your mother, even your boyfriend, even your girlfriend. You're not obligated, you're not obligated to talk to anyone. Okay? Now that we got that out of the way, it all depends on what type of relationship you want to have with these individuals. Because part of it, whether you're in the lowest of the lows as far as depression, or you're just, you can't concentrate, you can't focus, everything's just, as far as anxiety, verbalization is the best tool in that case. And like I said, it depends on the relationship, because if you're dealing with dysfunctional people, you verbalizing it will probably make you feel bad because their reaction is not going to be in a supportive sense, and in that you have to limit that interaction. Now, as far as your closest friends or your partner who is trying to understand, trying their best to understand, then verbalizing that you're not having a good day, or you need a couple of hours to bring it down, whatever, that's the best way to go. Now, we're gonna skip all the way to my friend was talking about its effect on your love life, and decided how you're dealing with it, trying to keep or gain a partner. There will be a lot of times where you're thinking you're with someone who is absolutely wonderful, they're great, and dun dun dun, they find out about whatever mental illness you have. They find out with whatever health issue you may have. Everyone's not going to deal with it properly. Everyone's not going to try to understand. Some people might even debate you on whether or not it even exists. And with a lot of people, you have to test the waters. I'm not talking about playing games with people. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is being as open and candid as you can with people who you want around, and seeing how they handle it. And really expressing to them, or pushing them to research on their own what you told them, no, how what you told them actually affects you in everyday life. Because, you know, when people start a relationship, some of them are lovey-dovey, they say all these words, everything sound good, right? Oh, baby, you know, I know you deal with that and you have some bad days. I'll love you forever. You know, it doesn't matter. I'll take care of you. La da. I'm making up things. You know, and then when it comes to the actual days when you can't work, the actual days when you into, oh, I can't deal with this is just too much. Some people, like I said, what people have in their head of what you said and how they actually react and behave throughout the relationship can be two completely different things. How I've dealt with it, like I said, I've had people literally laugh in my face about depression. Most people can already tell I'm pretty weird, social wise. Always get, you know, you're highly intelligent, but you're a little weird. That's fine. There's very few people I've actually have to explain about the whole social part. Some people I don't let in on that aspect, but the depression part is more prominent and very clear. But yeah, you know, you have a lot of people who will be like, well, depression doesn't exist. That's, you know, that's a man-made thing or something, whatever. A lot of people cannot see beyond their own lives, their own perspective, what they've seen in front of them. You'll read stories sometimes where people are like, you know, I never really took depression seriously, or I never really thought, you know, an anxiety disorder of any kind was anything that big until my parent committed suicide, or until I had a panic attack, you know, during a meeting or something. Like, some people do not have the capacity to empathize unless it directly affects them. And you have to come to that understanding, and sometimes you have to realize that a part of you will ache, a part of you will have that heartbreak, going through people and relationships. Ooh, child. Going through people and relationships of folks who will never get it, and folks who you may hold dear to you, who won't put themselves in a position to relate or can't handle it to stay around. I feel like when you deal with some type of mental health issue, a part of you disassociates from the world, disassociates from even your closest friendships or relationships, because you don't know if something you said or some way you feel as part of whatever illness or disorder, if that is going to be the final straw for someone. And I'm about to get so teary. So part of you always has that expectation or that boundary of self where you're close, but you're not entirely freely close. Because for someone to understand and be next to you is different from you actually experiencing it and going through it. And, you know, mental health issues look like so many other things we classify. It looks like laziness, it looks like you don't care, it looks like bad hygiene, it looks like apathy, it looks like so many things that can really take a toll on any kind of relationship. Ooh, merciful. So dealing with it is hard. Not just as far as romance, but friendships I've lost because if I didn't hear from somebody to talk to somebody, I figure it was me. So like I'd fall all the way back and not talk to them, and they'd be like, you know, that was selfish of you. I was going through X, Y, and Z, and you know, it ain't always somebody else. Sometimes, you know, the tape that plays in your head can stop you from certain things. You can ask my partner. When we first met, I was very aloft. Aloof, sorry. I'm thinking of I've been watching too many apartment tour videos, so I'm thinking of an actual loft. Anyway, I was very aloof. I just had one of those, well, he's gonna prove that he's about something kind of attitudes. So when we first started dating, he didn't think I was interested in him whatsoever. And part of my you know, quietness or shyness, you know, took him to making a lot of assumptions. And that could create, you know, its own level of distance. You know, we assume as people, when there's silence, when there's stillness, when there's no explanation or words, we fill in so many things. And we do that a lot with mental health issues. I feel like so many studies can be done in regards to these things, but it'll never equal what it is to actually experience it, and how different that can look from person to person. Now, as far as getting and keeping a partner, I mean, that's all different from individual to individual. I think when you deal with a lot emotionally, you overcompensate trying to prove that you're normal. Trying to prove that you can change. Trying to prove that you can be a part of everything like everybody else. That your hopes and dreams are in alignment all the time like everybody else. And I feel like that creates a lot of pressure. Not just pressure, but it can create tension and resentment on either side. You know, in dealing with depression or anxiety, trying to keep someone, I forego everything. Sometimes it tells me to run. Because you just want to feel like someone will understand, someone will stay there, you know? And especially if, you know, part of it derives from trauma, you know, instead of saying no sometimes, I've said go ahead. Not yes, but go ahead. Where you allow your person, your body, or your heart to be a part of someone or available to people when mentally or emotionally it wasn't even in alignment. Simply because of awkwardness. Simply because of a search of feeling normal or accepted. Now, as far as gaining partners, that has always been strange. Um, yeah, I don't have any input on that part. I will say, though, that you are no less deserving of love because of your struggles, because of your past, or because of your trauma. You deserve it just like any other good hearted person. That I will tell you for sure. And if someone's not willing, well, see, the part of it for me is what can you expect from people? If someone can't handle it, I'd rather know that than them to pretend they can and me getting close to them and finding out that that was a lie. Um, Pushing yourself enough versus overdoing it. To me, that's trial and error. Like I said, I love lists, to-do lists in my calendar of things that I want to do, things that I need to do, and I don't put a time restraint on it. Sometimes because of my brain works, I'll even write things I have done. Like today, excuse me, just saying something random. I'll put that I deep condition my hair, what conditioner I used, if I used a cleanser, what kind of cleanser it was, etc., etc. Because sometimes, when you're constantly worrying, your day-to-day activities become all jumbled together. I even want to start something I found the other day called morning pages, where you wake up. I don't want to put rules on it, but basically how it's supposed to be is you wake up, you keep writing, and you just don't stop for 3 pages. Everything that's in your head, you get it out. Because the thing with worrying, thing with anxiety is your mind is constantly going. Or you have this restlessness about you. Or if it's social anxiety, things that may come, or if there's an event coming, it'll constantly play in my mind. Or if I just had an argument or discussion with someone, I think, well, should I have said more? And, if someone said something nasty, well, I should have said this to them. Or, something's constantly playing. It's like different tapes. So, if you're journaling, it helps get some of that stuff out of you. And if you're making lists as to what to do, not only do you get that sense of accomplishment, but in the throes of depression, you get to check off something and you're doing activities that need to be done. Because, as hard as it is, the world is not stopping for any of us. I've wasted and given away a lot of years to depression. And I try my best not to regret it. I try my best to just use the life I have now because there's nothing I can do about yesterday. So dealing with whether you've overdone it or you're doing too little, starts with forgiveness of self and being aware enough to know what can you handle today, and being aware and present enough to know what needs to be done soon, today, tomorrow, whatever, and tackling that one by one. There's no magic number. You know you've done too much when you're completely exhausted the next day and you're like, well, I might need a little bit extra break today. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like everyone should go at their own pace, and there's no shame in that either. Because, we have this societal timetable, um, this pressure of move, move, move. And everybody can't handle everything. That's just the real of it. And what's wrong with being in acknowledgement of that? You know? Things I've tried to treat anxiety or depression and how that has gone. Nature walks has been my thing. I haven't done it in a while, but I also love to be by water. I like when my partner and I can just go for a walk and just talk about life. Nothing too heavy, but just talk. Strangely enough, what quells my anxiety is addressing like real life issues with my partner, or people whose opinion I value, because it connects me back to life. It connects me back to the world, because a large part of it, like I said, has a lot of disconnection for me. I have dealt with it in the past by binge eating. It's not a positive coping mechanism. It's not something that solves anything either. Yeah. I guess recently treating it with meds. I'm not sure what's working, what's not working, really. Um, like I said, it's not my top choice. It's not my favorite choice. It's not a choice I'd like to still have or continue for long, but it is today's choice. Um, Dancing, whether good, bad, or indifferent. You feel that when you feel that song through your body and you just have to move, there's something freeing about just moving yourself however you want to move. And a lot of people would message me sometimes like, oh, you're such a good dancer. I wish, I was a good dancer too. And, I'd like to dance. So dance. It doesn't matter if you're good or not good. It really doesn't. Does it feel good? Does it feel freeing to you? Then do it. I mean, you don't need an audience. You don't need to record it. You don't need to do any of that. But if it frees up your soul and it's doing you good, whatever it is, if it's doing you good and it's something positive, do it. You don't always have to be good at everything. You really don't. But if it's something on a good note that makes you feel free, indulge, I think I've covered some ways to calm anxiety as far as, writing things down and keeping a good support system, verbalizing to people what's going on. Yoga helps sometimes if you have the time. A good nap if you're thinking too much. Bubble baths work great for me as far as closing the door, no one's bothering me. Might watch a favorite YouTuber or something, or if I don't want to hear anything, I might put some type of melody on and just zone out for a good 20 minutes. Sometimes it might be an hour, whatever. And just to come back into yourself. Even something as simple as just sitting down for a moment, maybe putting on something ridiculous, whether it's comedy or a cartoon, and having some tea, you know. There may be times that I may be grocery shopping, because it's happened a couple of times where I get really anxious, maybe too many people passing me or whatever, and I would kind of like zone out. And to bring myself back, I'd message someone who can relate. Don't message just anybody, because that might just like maybe trigger something else. And talk to them while I try to keep focused. And with that, I have a list so that I'm actually going through something. If my mind is wandering, then at least I don't have to rely on my memory. I can rely on the list to make sure I have what I needed to have. Hopefully that helps. This was a little long, but I felt like it was important. I felt like I was moved to do this video, do this topic even. And I mean, if you have anything else you want me to talk about or address as it relates to this, let me know. And I hope that this video was helpful, or that you got something out of it at least. Anyway, thank you so much for watching.